The gym was buzzing with energy that evening. Martial artists from different levels and disciplines filled the mats, some grappling, others striking, all under the bright fluorescent light of Iron Lotus Dojo, a well-known mixed martial arts training center. Among them stood Trey, a confident black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. Trey was respected, but also known for his ego. He often poked fun at newcomers, especially those he didn't think fit the fighter mold. That day, his attention turned to a newcomer sitting quietly on the bench near the lockers. She was a black woman in her mid-30s, dressed in a loose hoodie, sweatpants, and sneakers. Her name tag read, Jada. Jada had signed up for a trial class just the day before. She hadn't said much, just watched. She didn't seem intimidated, just observant, calm. Some thought she looked more like a yoga teacher than a fighter. Trey noticed her watching the warm-ups and approached with a smirk. "Hey," he said, loud enough for a few of his buddies to hear. "You here to do some cardio or actually fight?" Jada smiled politely. "I'm here to learn." "You ever trained before?" "A bit." Trey laughed. "A bit? Come on, we're all friends here. Want to spar around? Promise I'll go easy on you." His friends chuckled. Jada hesitated, then calmly stood up. "Sure, just don't say I didn't warn you." A small circle formed as the coach allowed them a light sparring session. Trey bounced on his feet, clearly underestimating her. He threw a couple of light jabs, just testing the waters. Jada barely moved. Her eyes followed every motion like a chess master reading a novice's first moves. Then, everything changed. In a blink, Jada slipped inside his jab, landed a clean right cross, followed by a sweeping leg trip that sent Trey to the mat hard. The room fell silent. Trey scrambled up, surprised but trying to play it off. He laughed nervously and said, "Lucky shot." They circled again. This time Trey went serious, throwing a few combinations. Jada slipped every single one, countering with precision and balance that screamed elite training. She wasn't just quick, she was trained in something different. Whispers started around the gym. "Who is she?" "She moves like a pro." "She's not a beginner." Trey lunged with a takedown attempt, his specialty. In one fluid motion, Jada sprawled, spun around, and locked in a rear naked choke so tight and fast the coach had to step in before Trey tapped. The gym was dead quiet. No one laughed. No one cheered. Just stunned silence. Coach Darius stepped forward, his eyes wide. "Jada, where did you train?" She gave a small smile. "I used to compete. Muay Thai, BJJ, a little judo. Took some time off. Thought I'd ease back in." One of the senior fighters blinked. "Ease back in?" That was world class. Later, someone Googled her name. The results lit up. Jada Cole, former national champion, Panther medalist, retired due to injury 5 years ago. Trey, still red-faced and wiping sweat from his brow, walked over to her. "I deserve that. I'm sorry I underestimated you." Jada simply nodded. "Next time, just ask. No need to joke. We all start somewhere." From that day on, no one ever judged a fighter by their appearance in Iron Lotus again. Jada didn't come to prove a point, but she did, and the gym never forgot it. For the next few days, Jada came to the dojo regularly. She didn't talk much, didn't boast. She trained with quiet intensity, flowing through warm-ups, shadowboxing with perfect control, grappling with unshakable calm. But the entire energy of Iron Lotus Dojo had shifted. People who had barely noticed her before now watched her with deep respect. Some even lined up to spar with her, curious, excited, a little nervous. And Jada? She gave them all the same, patience, precision, and humility. Coach Darius sat watching her one evening from the edge of the mat. After class, he called her into his office. "Jada," he said, "I know who you are, but more than that, I can see who you are now." She gave a small smile. "I'm just getting back into it." "Are you coming back for real? Competition?" Jada sighed. "I don't know. I left all that behind for a reason." There was a silence. Darius nodded. "When you're ready, the mat's yours." But Jada's past wasn't something she could fully leave behind. Not forever. One rainy night, As she packed up her gear, a woman approached her in the locker room. "I hope this isn't weird," she said, "but watching you spar gave me goosebumps. I'm new here, and I was honestly scared to sign up. Seeing someone like you, it made me feel like maybe I belong." Jada paused. Her eyes softened. "What's your name?" "Lena. First week. Total beginner." Jada held out a hand. "I've been where you are. Stick with it. One round at a time." Word started spreading in the city's underground fight scene. The Panther's back. That had been her nickname in the ring. Jada Panther Cole. Fast, focused, ferocious. Soon, small-time promoters were reaching out. Old friends, former teammates, even a few rivals. But Jada ignored them. She didn't return calls. She wasn't ready to go back into that world until he showed up. One evening, as she walked into the gym, she saw him standing in the corner by the heavy bag. Marcus the Ox Lane, her former training partner, and the last man she had fought before her retirement. He'd gone pro, big time, undefeated. Everyone knew who he was now, but more than anyone, he knew her. They locked eyes. He walked over slowly and gave a nod. "Still moving like silk, Panther. You still moving like bricks, Ox?" They both chuckled. Then his face turned serious. "There's a tournament next month. Invitation only. Open weight. I told the organizers to add your name." Jada's face tightened. "I'm not." He held up a hand. "I know you're not doing this for trophies, but you've got something more to fight for now." He glanced around the gym. "They look up to you. They need to see you take that stage again." Jada looked at the mats, the faces, the students, young women, girls, even Trey, who now trained beside her like a loyal shadow, learning every lesson he once mocked. Maybe it wasn't about reclaiming old glory. Maybe it was about lighting the way. That night, she went home and opened the old chest under her bed. Inside lay her old GI, her championship medals, her worn gloves, and at the very bottom, a photo of her younger self, hand raised in the air, a crowd roaring behind her. She picked up the gloves, tightened the laces. The fire was still there. She whispered to herself, "Time to remind them who I am." The days leading up to the invitational tournament passed like a storm. Jada trained in silence, often alone in the dim corners of the gym, away from the loud music and sparring matches. She was rebuilding something inside, more than just muscle or technique. She was sharpening the edge she had buried deep, locked away with the pain of her last loss and the injury that had ended her career 5 years ago. But now she was not fighting for gold. She was fighting to reclaim truth. Word spread fast. Fighters whispered her name like myth. "Panther's back. She's fighting again." She was the one who broke Marcus Lane's jaw years ago. Didn't she disappear after Tokyo? That last part was true. Jada had been on track for the international circuit before the Tokyo match. A freak injury in the semifinal. Her knee twisted in the wrong direction, cost her the fight and nearly her ability to walk. Surgeons had warned her she might never return to the ring, but they didn't know her heart. At Iron Lotus Dojo, Trey had changed. The once cocky black belt was now one of Jada's fiercest supporters. He trained beside her daily, absorbing everything she offered. Footwork, timing, breathing. "I owe you," he told her during one mid-session. "You didn't just teach me how to fight. You taught me how to listen." Jada didn't respond with words. She gave him a look, the kind that says, "You've grown. Keep going." Coach Darius, too, had changed. He began setting aside private time for Jada. Strategy meetings, mental toughness drills, whispered encouragements in between rounds. "You've already won," he said one night. "How's that?" she asked. "Because you didn't come back for vengeance. You came back to lead." Finally, the night of the Underground Invitational Tournament arrived. The venue wasn't your average cage match. It was raw, brutal, and elite. Hidden in the depths of an old warehouse by the harbor, the ring was surrounded by stone-faced spectators, fighters, trainers, scouts, and champions from all over the city. Everyone came to see the Panthers return. Jada stepped into the light. Her braids were tied back, her expression unreadable. She wore all black, with no sponsors, no showboating, just focus. The crowd hushed as her name was called. Jada the Panther Cole. Her first opponent, a Muay Thai powerhouse known as Crimson Ivy, undefeated in 8 underground matches. Ivy was taller, heavier, and fast. The bell rang. The fight began. Round 1. Ivy attacked hard, her knees brutal and sharp, but Jada moved like a ghost. She danced in and out, landing body shots, frustrating Ivy's rhythm. Round 2. Ivy caught her with a leg sweep that brought Jada to the mat for the first time. The crowd gasped, but Jada rolled up, bounced back to her feet, and smiled. By round 3, Ivy was gassed. That's when Jada struck. One jab, one cross, a spinning elbow. Ivy fell. The ref waved it off. Jada wins. She went on to beat 2 more fighters that night. One a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, the other a national-level wrestler. But it was the final match that silenced the crowd, because across the ring stood Marcus the Ox Lane himself. He had entered the tournament at the last second. Everyone leaned in. Old teammates, new fighters, coaches, rival gyms. This wasn't just a match. It was unfinished history. They touched gloves. No words. Marcus was bigger, stronger. He had the reach, the weight, the size. But Jada had clarity. 4-3 full rounds. They exchanged blow for blow, takedown for takedown, neither giving ground. The air was electric. Every breath drawn felt like the world was holding on with them. Then, in the final seconds of the last round, Jada faked low, spun, and landed a perfect hook kick to Marcus's jaw. He staggered. She moved in. One last combo. The bell rang. Time. The judges deliberated. Sweat poured from both fighters. Then the decision came. Split decision. Winner, Jada Cole. The crowd roared. But Jada didn't raise her arms. Instead, she stepped to Marcus and offered her hand. He took it. He smiled. You still move like silk. And you still hit like bricks. They laughed, embracing like warriors who had finally come full circle. Later that night, back at Iron Lotus, a small crowd gathered around her. Lena, Trey, Coach, new students. Even Ivy, now no longer a rival but a fan. What's next? Someone asked. Jada looked out across the room, the very gym where this chapter had begun. I train, she said, and this time, I don't leave. Weeks had passed since Jada Cole's unforgettable return to the ring. The video of her final fight against Marcus the Ox Lane had gone viral in underground circles, shared in martial arts forums, replayed in gyms, even whispered about in pro leagues. But Jada herself didn't change. She still showed up early, still trained alone in the corners before class started, still wiped down her mat after every session. But something was different. The world was watching now, and more importantly, the youth were listening. Young girls from around the city, especially black and brown girls who had never considered stepping into a dojo, started showing up at Iron Lotus. Some came with curiosity, some came with fear, and some came with fire in their eyes. They all came for her. Are you really the Panther? A shy 10-year-old girl asked one day, clinging to her backpack. Jada crouched beside her. Only on special occasions, she smiled. Coach Darius, seeing what was happening, came to her with a proposal. You've built something more than just a name, Jada. You've built a movement. Let's start a youth program. You lead it. I'll back it. We'll give them everything we never had. Jada looked at the list of names already signed up. 12 kids in 1 week. It was time. She nodded. Let's call it Panther's Path. They started small. 3 days a week. Old mats. Donated gear. Jada poured herself into it. Not just teaching punches and takedowns, but discipline, breath control, emotional resilience. She talked to the girls about fear, about failure, about the fight inside the mind. And she taught the boys, too. Respect, control, the power of humility. One student, Mika, was a foster teen with a short temper and a long history of street fights. But Jada never flinched. When he blew up during practice, she didn't shout. She handed him a jump rope and said, "Every swing is your anger. Keep going until it turns into focus." He jumped for 30 minutes straight, tears and sweat mixing on his face. He never missed a class again. Iron Lotus Dojo transformed. What was once a place of competition became a haven for transformation. Parents who once worried about violence began showing up to watch, sometimes crying quietly from the back rows. One day, during a local amateur tournament, Jada stood beside the ring as two of her youngest students stepped up to compete. She held their gloves, fixed their mouth guards, and whispered what Coach Darius had once told her. "You've already won." They both placed, but more importantly, they both walked out taller than they walked in. Meanwhile, offers flooded Jada's inbox. TV interviews, sponsorship deals, reality shows, even an offer to write a memoir. She turned almost all of them down, except one, a National Youth Martial Arts Summit in Atlanta. She agreed to give a speech. The room was packed. Coaches, kids, pros, and teachers filled the seats. When Jada stepped onto the stage, she didn't bring a speech. She brought a story. "I used to think fighting was just about winning. But real fighters don't fight for medals. We fight to protect, to build, to teach, to rise, and to lift others up with us. That's the legacy, and anyone can carry it forward." The crowd rose to their feet. When Jada returned to the dojo, a new mural had been painted across the far wall, a silhouette of a woman mid-kick, surrounded by rising stars and young hands reaching toward her. Below it, in bold black letters, "Panther's Path, we fight forward." She stood silently in front of it, a hand over her heart. Coach Darius stepped beside her. "You realize this is just the beginning, right?" he said. Jada nodded, her eyes full of fire and peace all at once. "I didn't come back for myself," she whispered. "I came back to make sure no one else gets left behind." It had been over a year since Jada Cole returned to the mat. In that time, Panther's Path had grown from a dozen students to over 100. The program now had its own wing inside Iron Lotus Dojo, clean white walls lined with framed photos of kids mid-action, their belts proudly tied, their eyes burning with purpose. The city knew her name now, not just as a fighter, but as a symbol. But the world had not forgotten either. One foggy morning, Jada opened her email to find a message that made her chest tighten. Subject: World Combat Games, Legacy Division Invite. It was from the WCG committee. They were launching a new division, Legacy Fighters, a special bracket for veteran champions who had stepped away from the sport but still carried their fire. The games were just 6 months away, held in Seoul, South Korea, televised globally, massive sponsors, massive audience, and there, in bold type, "We formally invite Jada the Panther Cole to represent the United States in the Legacy Division of the World Combat Games." She stared at the screen, unmoving. Her heart was racing. Her mind was quiet. A whisper from within, "You thought your story was finished?" That night, she sat alone in the dojo long after everyone had gone home. She paced the mat in silence. She remembered the screams of crowds, the cold of the mat, the ache in her knee, the roar of self-doubt. But she also remembered why she started. Not to win, not to dominate, but to be unbreakable, not just in her body, in her spirit. Coach Darius found her there, still barefoot on the mat, her hoodie wrapped tight around her frame. "You got the invite, didn't you?" he asked. She nodded. "They want me in Seoul. Legacy bracket." "You going?" "I don't know." He folded his arms. "You've got nothing to prove." "I know. That's why I'm torn." He smiled. "Then don't go for you. Go for them. Go so your students know that fire doesn't end at 35. Go so they understand that age, gender, color, none of it defines the limit of your fight. Go so they never forget what a woman like you can do." Jada looked at the trophy shelf. The old belt, the photo of her and Marcus Lane, the murals, the kids. She exhaled. "Book me a flight," she whispered. Training for Seoul was unlike anything she'd faced before. Not because of the opponents, but because now, she wasn't fighting alone. Mika ran with her in the mornings. Lena helped hold mitts. Trey oversaw her grappling drills. Her students watched every sparring session like it was a masterclass. They weren't just witnesses. They were her reason. Meanwhile, in gyms across the world, other legacy fighters are preparing too. One name kept surfacing in whispers and headlines alike: Valeria Stone, a brutal striker from Russia, former world Muay Thai champion, known as the Ice Queen. Jada had fought her once, long ago, and lost by decision. Everyone expected a rematch. The world was watching, and Jada could feel the pressure mounting. The night before her flight to Seoul, the dojo threw her a surprise gathering. Kids in GIS lined the walls. Parents brought food. The mural was updated again, now with her silhouette in motion, breaking through a globe surrounded by gold flames. They presented her with a gift, a custom GI, black with crimson trim. On the back, Panther, USA. Jada looked around, her throat tight. "This isn't just my fight anymore," she said quietly. "It's ours." At the airport, cameras waited. Reporters, fans, even some old rivals showed up to wish her luck. Jada stepped onto the plane with calm eyes and a packed soul. The past was behind her. The world was in front of her, and the fight of a lifetime was waiting.